Welcome to Excel Magic Trick number 1397, part 2. Hey, if you want to download this Excel workbook file so you can follow along, click on the link below the video. Hey, last couple videos we've been talking about running total. And the last video, 1397, we actually talked about Excel formulas for running total and percent of running total. But in that video, our running total was for a count. So in this video, we want to see how to do monthly revenue running total and then a percent of total revenue earned by month chart. Here's our data set. We're going to figure out from the min and max date how to calculate a column of lower and upper dates. Then calculate the actual revenue for each month, running total, percent running total, and then create this chart. Now, let's go over to the sheet 1397, part 2. Now, here's our data set. And I've already converted this to an Excel table by going up to Insert and clicking on that button right there, or using the keyboard Control-T. And I very importantly went up to Table Tools, Design, Properties, and named it. So the name of this table is F amount. Now, the next thing I did was I went over and calculated the min and max from this column so I knew what the lower and upper limit for each month would be and the total span of months. Now, let's look at the formula here, F2. Of course, we use the min function. But check that out. That's called table formula nomenclature or structured references. F amount, you always have the table name, then in square brackets, the field name. So that's the field name date. So I calculated the min and max. From those, we can create our upper and lower limits for then using SUMIFS to calculate the monthly revenue. Now, we're going to do this with formulas. So the first formula will be a single formula that looks at the min, tab. Now we need a formula that will calculate the end of the month. So, of course, we use the end of the month function. I'm going to use left arrow. That's the start date, comma. And to get the end of the month for last month, I put -1. To get the end of the month for the current month, January, I put 0. If I'm getting the end of the month for next month, I put 1 or 2 months ahead, 2. So for end of the month in January, we type a 0. And the good news, of course, is end of the month will know leap year too. So when I hit Enter, there's the end of the month. Now, I'm going to create the first day in February. And I could use E date and point to this. But I'm simply going to say, hey, look at the previous end of the month and add 1. Either one of those formulas, this formulas or E date would work. Control-Enter and then copy it down. Whoa, they're all? Well, now I have to double click and send this one down. And sure enough, now the whole 2 columns of dates for lower and upper will work. Now, revenue. We need to sum from the revenue column anytime the date in this column is greater than or equal to the lower date and less than or equal to the upper date. Anytime we have adding with multiple conditions, we use the SUMIFS functions. Now, in last video, we did counting and then running totals and percent running total for counting. So in that video, we use COUNTIFS or the frequency function. Here, we're not counting, we're adding for a particular period. So the sum range, that's all the numbers you potentially want to add. Now, let's learn a great trick here. If you hover your cursor right there, that's the selection cursor. But right near the top of the field name in an Excel table, that downward pointing black arrow, when I click, look at that. That is an amazing feature in Excel tables. And it's got the proper syntax, table name and field name in square brackets. Now, that's all the numbers to add, but we don't want all of them. So we need to tell SUMIFS the criteria. But first, we have to give it the criteria range. So watch this. I'm going to do the same trick. Above date, when I see that black downward pointing arrow, I click. There it is, table name, field name in square brackets, comma. Now we have 2 conditions. The first condition or criteria is going to be greater than or equal to that. Now, COUNTIFS, SUMIFS, and similar functions require that the comparative operator is in double quotes. So I have to say greater than or equal to. And those are 2 separate characters. And double quote. Now I need to join it. So I use the join symbol, ampersand, Shift-7, and I click on the lower date. Now notice that entire construction right there might be a little bit confusing, but here's how I remember. Notice the big side is pointing away as if pointing towards the column. So it will look through and find any number here that is bigger than or equal to this lower. So 1, 2017 will be included. 1, 2, 1, 3, and so on. Now that would get every single date in the table, so that's not enough. We have to type a comma and put the second criteria range. Love this trick right here. Downward pointing black arrow, click, and there we go. Comma. Now we have to, for criteria 2, in double quotes, say also in an and logical test, the date has to simultaneously also be less than or equal to, in double quotes, joined to the upper date. So anytime it gets true, true, it'll use the date and pick out the correct revenue number. Now I close parentheses, Control-Enter, double-click and send it down. I'm going to go to the last cell and hit F2. And those cell references are looking good. I should have done that over here too. F2 and right here, F2. Those are all looking good. Now, running total. Last video, we used the SUM function with an expandable range, which is a great efficient formula for small data sets. But let's see a different way of calculating running total. Well, the first period or category always is going to be equal to the first amount. So I'm just going to have a single different formula in this column. Hit Enter. Now, all of the remaining formulas will be whatever the current amount is plus whatever the previous balance from the previous period is. Those are both relative cell references. Control-Enter, double-click, and send it down. And so for any particular cell, the logic will be, oh, yeah, that's the running total for the previous period plus the current period. That's going to work all the way down. And that formula, in general, is preferable on really large data sets because every formula is only running 2 cell references, whereas an expandable range, like we saw last video, might have a huge range of values to look over. Escape. Now our percent running total, I'm going to say always compare the current period. And I use my left arrow to get a relative cell reference divided by, and I either click down here on the grand overall total, or watch this, I'm going to keyboard, left arrow, control down arrow, and then F4 to lock it. That division, where we're comparing each relative cell reference period running total to the grand overall total, will work. Control-Enter, double-click, and send it down. And just like we saw last video, the meaning of a percentage like this is that we earned about 25% of our total revenue for the year by the end of August. Look at that. We weren't even above 50% when we got to the end of October. 66% of the revenues were earned by the end of November. And of course, 100% by the time we get to December. So it looks like we get most of our revenues at Christmas. Now we want to see how to create a chart. And I'm going to use a line chart. And the reason we can use a line chart for either a running total or a percent running total is because the increments are the same for each category. Actually, in our next video, I'll show you running totals for when you have the increment is the same and when you don't have an increment that is the same, meaning we have month here. If we didn't have the same increment, like different time periods or for counting different increments from the lower and upper, then you'd have to use an XY scatter. But our increments are the same. So I'm going to highlight the upper column, hold Control to highlight ranges not next to each other, non-contiguous ranges, and then highlight the percent running total. 2 ranges. Now I can go up to Insert, over to Line. And I'm going to use this one right here, Line with Markers. Now we're going to fix this up just like we did last video. I'm going to click on the chart title, and with a solid line, I want to link it to this title. So I type an equal sign that jumps me up to the formula bar. Click on the cell J6. I see my formula. Enter. Come over to the green plus. I want data labels. I want to see those percentages. Now we have chart junk. We have percentages in 2 places. So I'll click on the axis, delete. Click on the chart background and Control-1 to open up the task pane. I want to fill it with a solid fill. That's too dark. Let's pick a lighter one, something like that color there. I'm thinking I want a different sort of label here. And the lucky thing about data like this, in fact, these percentages and these dates are coming from our data set. If I come over here and apply a custom number format that shows me the month, name, and year, that will be reflected in our chart. So highlight the range, Control-1, down to custom. And for custom number formatting, M means month, D means day, and Y means year. Now, you can play around this and teach yourself custom number formatting. If you type in M, it gives me a single digit. 2 M's, it gives me a leading 0 if there's only a single digit. 3 M's is the 3-letter abbreviation, and 4 is the full month name. I'm going to leave it as 3 M's, space. And then year is slightly different. 1, 2, that gives me always the 2 digits with the leading 0. And 3 gives me the full 4 digits. So that is the custom number format I'm going to use to show month and year. Click OK. And there we can see it in the cells and in our chart. That is looking pretty good. So for any particular place, as of the end of July, we earned 17.8% of total revenues for the year. I can see I'm going to change the column width up here. All right, that was a little fun with Excel tables. We did some date calculation here, including end of month. We saw how to use the SUMIFS for the actual monthly revenue. We did a simple 2-step formula for running total, and then a percentage formula for percent running total, and our percent of total revenue earned by month chart. Now, next video, 1398, we'll see how to do running total, percent running total with DAX formulas. All right, we'll see you next video.